Oh, yeah. What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods. I'm According in the Woods, and he is former U of MMA champion, Pius Ina La Lobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus. And holy crap, has this been a week? I thought I was done. We were kind of talking off air. Went to the NXT Stand and Deliver. Shout out to Stephen Tatum, the good brother, making that happen. And then also both nights of Mania. And I thought I was done. I thought after Bloodsport on Thursday, before Mania, shout out to Fifi Dobson, who I got to see at the Roxy after like 20 years. That me and my sister like listened to her first album, and there wasn't really anybody representing us, like kind of punk rock skater kids, rocker kids, or whatever. Got to see her at the Roxy in Hollywood, right? And even like before that, went to go see a Scary Pockets with John Mayer's sideman. Well, he's not a sideman, but he's John Mayer's like major contributor in David Ryan Harris with Scary Pockets. That was the Friday before. So Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Bloodsport, and then the kind of like WWE events and whatever. And I thought I was done. But Monday, I mean, literally the earth moved under my feet, right? I feel the skies are moving, they're tumbling down. That's what I feel, because like it was announced that the Endeavor, WME Endeavor, William Morris Endeavor, right, its former name as it's been known for decades in the Hollywood sphere. Well, they bought UFC in 2016, and as of Monday morning, I believe it was 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, AM, they bought the UFC. Endeavor bought WWE, I should say. And UFC and WWE are going to form a new company under the Endeavor umbrella, but that company is going to basically be, publicly traded stock and what have you. Probably one would assume that if you have shares if you're a shareholder of the WWE itself, going into Monday morning at market close, opening time, theoretically speaking, when everything kind of rolls out, that you will have a share in this new company that is essentially tentpoled by both the UFC and WWE. Voodoo, what is your thoughts on it? My goodness.
Hey man, we have been talking about this for quite some time. At least since the beginning of Voodoo in the Woods, we've been talking about it. We've talked about it before that, but since Voodoo in the Woods, we've been talking about these fighters understanding that sports entertainment is the future. We've been talking about this for a very long time. Sports entertainment has been the future, but a lot of them they fail to fall in line. A lot of them claim that they are honorable fighters and this and that. Oh, I'm not going to be someone else, and no one is asking you to be someone else. We're asking you to entertain the fans. We are asking you to do more than let your manager. You need to talk to your manager. You need to come prepared to the office is what you need to do. Now that the merger has occurred, information is going to cross that barrier on both ways. The WWE, how do you say, all their attributes and the UFC attributes, these are going to cross over and they're going to share information. So all these athletes who lack charisma, who have great potential but lack charisma, once they enroll in the WWE school of mic skills, if I may, then Perhaps a lot of them can make more money, the money that they claim they are owed. You are not owed anything. Nobody owes you anything. You owe yourself. You owe yourself. And if you want to make money, you got to do what Khabib did. Khabib got on that mic and he did what he had to do. Of course, you have to win the fights, but you have to sell the fights. So don't hate on Conor McGregor for doing what he did. Don't hate on not Dustin, the one Dustin hates. What's that guy's name? The one that's gonna get the next title shot against Leon Edwards. What's his name?
Gosh.
Colby Covington. Don't hate on
Covington.
Colby
Okay,
Covington.
got him.
Don't hate on him, because when it comes to fighting, he gets in there and he does what he has to do. If he's running his mouth, so be it. All he's doing is talking. It's a what? Is that the Second Amendment right to run your mouth? The right to run your mouth? Whatever amendment it is.
The first one.
We've got a right to run our mouth. As long as we don't touch anyone, we can run our mouth. So exercise your rights, man. Exercise your rights and maximize your pocket. Sports entertainment is here to stay, and it is going to be what it's going to be, whether you like it or not. And that's that.
Well, I mean, you are absolutely right. And it's funny too, right? Because a lot of people have, talked about, I think the first thing, and I believe I sent it to you, right? Because I think it was something like some sort of UFC kind of like program that had both Alexander Volkanovski and Robert Whitaker, right? And Whitaker came out as a weird kind of hodgepodge of like Hogan-esque type character. And this was like on live TV. This is like, back in the day of like UFC Tonight on Fox, right? It was that type of show. It was an in-studio show, very high production and what have you. And out comes, you hear the Hulk Hogan, I want to be American or whatever. I'm a real American, right?
Yeah.
And then Whitaker, kind of trots out and whatever. He's wearing Macho Man tights. It was 3 stars, the Macho Man, old school Macho Man, what have you. And then Alexander Volkanovski comes out as Stone Cold Volk Austin, right?
Okay.
But the thing about it is, this is 2 former UFC champions, 2 gentlemen who represent the Oceania region of the world that, again, got to the highest of the high of the high in terms of the sport of MMA and specifically UFC, right? And they're coming out as WWE Hall of Famers, 2 iconic characters in Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they're cosplaying as them in a studio show. We're not seeing that the other way around. We're not seeing like Dolph Ziggler come out as Israel Adesanya, who's headlining a card, or Poatan, right? We're not seeing that. We're seeing it the other way around. And I think it's kind of fitting. It's almost poetic justice because in this new, pardon the pun, endeavor, but in this new endeavor, Vince McMahon, even kind of being new to the Endeavor family and the WWE being new to the Endeavor family, but Vince McMahon in this kind of new corporate structure is actually over Dana White, who's had a longer standing relationship in terms of Ari Emanuel, the CEO and head honcho of Endeavor, and who is going to be the head honcho of this new company that's yet to be named. We'll call it TKO because, that's what the ticker symbol will be once the stock goes live. But my goodness, this is earth-shattering. To me, it is. Now, where it works, right? If you're a Bianca Belair, right, or Becky Lynch, people who have, going into WrestleMania 39, they were rumored to have some dalliances in Hollywood. Ronda Rousey, dating back to her UFC time and tenure, they were saying she was going to be in Roadhouse and the Patrick Swayze movie and all of this stuff, right? So now that it's under the umbrella, and before 2016, before the UFC was purchased, Endeavor, or William Morris Endeavor, was the biggest talent agency in Hollywood, for quite some time, right? They purchased the UFC outright. And to me, it was I kind of felt something was up, right? Because all of the talk of, a purchase was going on, a purchase of the WWE to be specific, but it was eerily reminiscent of the UFC 200 kind of scenario, right? At the moment, UFC 200 was the UFC's. I mean, pretty much like that was their WrestleMania. Up to that point, it was the UFC's biggest card. They threw everything in the kitchen sink. They had Brock Lesnar come back like with every supplement that Mexico, Thailand, and everywhere else could kind of mix into a cocktail. He looked like Goro from Mortal Kombat, but just minus two, or actually four of the hands because Goro had six or what have you. But he looked ripped. He looked like, I mean, he wasn't USADA tested for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of, Jeff Nowinski and everybody else just kind of, went the other way. But I mean, it was supposed to be, DC John Jones, and we got John Jones kind of testing positive for the famous picogram and what have you. And Anderson Silva, the legend, steps in on short notice to essentially have like a combat jiu-jitsu fight with Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight championship of the UFC. But I mean, again, that was it, right? And we had the like piss yellow ring or cage canvas, which I want to believe was probably Brock Lesnar's, USADA testing, because that was yellow as shit, and it was just like off the charts or whatever. And then I think within 24 hours of that show, right? Oh, actually, not 24 hours. It was Monday because UFC 200 was on a Saturday. But by Monday, we heard UFC has been purchased, right? Zuffa's no longer and what have you, right? The Fertittas are out. Dana was still in. And that was it. So, WrestleMania 39 to be in Hollywood, logistically, it was the closest WrestleMania to WME's Endeavor's corporate offices in Century City as any Mania has ever been, ever, right? And then within 24 hours of night two concluding, which had, Cody Rhodes basically befall Roman Reigns and what have you, then we get the news. Like 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is, what was it, like 11 or whatever on the East Coast, something like that. But, the merger had been made. And also, one thing that a lot of people are kind of glossing over, you got to remember, because everybody thinks that it's an outright takeover, that Endeavor took over WWE. But you got to remember, when the corporate, or I would say the publicly traded side of WWE went public in the early 2000s, right? One thing that we found out during Vince McMahon's kind of, I don't know, illicit affairs with the paralegal and whatever, and he was ousted from the company. But Vince always retained 51% of the company, right? And one thing that I believe is glossed over through all of this talk, I mean, here we are Thursday, it was announced on Monday, right? But what Vince essentially did was sell all of his shares to Endeavor. That's what, and that is a major piece of the puzzle, right? So again, if you have WWE shares, chances are it's going to be rolled over in some way or fashion before the end of the fiscal year into TKO, right? This new kind of company, that represents the UFC and the WWE. One other thing that we're kind of finding out, right? Endeavor itself became a publicly traded company, I think, late stages of the lockdown, and they had already had about 14 to 16 months of UFC pay-per-view and ESPN revenue when Hollywood had pretty much shut down. So now we know how big the value is in terms of what UFC was doing in terms of the TV rights deal. And as the WWE is nearing a kind of TV rights renewal, the expiration of the contracts between NBC Universal for Raw and Raw and NXT, and then that TV rights deal for SmackDown on Fox and whatever. We're kind of nearing the end of it. So imagine we could have like a WWE UFC network by the end of like 2026, right? Because that's
Fight Pass.
I think it's a combination of both, and they charge 20 for every UFC, every WWE, and then also one thing that the WWE could stand to learn is the fact that you see how UFC's kind of conducted business. You have to buy the $10 for ESPN Plus. I think it's now $12 in the United States, and then once a month you got to dole out 80, 90, $120 after taxes if you live in California, and to get it in high definition. That's not even
if not twice a month.
Yeah, if not twice a month. And if you're an owner of a small pub that wants to, play the UFC or whatever, it's that much more. They charge you per head and square footage, right? Well, what if WWE does the same thing and their big four or every pay-per-view, they do the same where they charge you $40 plus whatever the subscription base of this new company. I'm just saying. So we might get pay-per-views again. Even if you just watch the UFC, no other MMA promotion, just in pay-per-views and ESPN Plus, I think it was like $1,300 a month. Oh no, I'm sorry, $1,300 a year. So imagine if you're a WWE fan and the WWE adopts a similar system. Man, it's gonna be pretty expensive. So there's that. But gone are the days of like, oh, I'm just a martial artist. The Curtis Blades. I'm a traditional martial artist. I don't need to do this. Okay, okay. We'll see how long that lasts. Let's see how many video game, residuals that you get featured in. How many commercials? How many Toyo tires, commercials you get or whatever. Because this is a brand new world. We had at WrestleMania night, one of the nights, Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic, which was a blood feud amongst blood feud. I mean, if you want to take it back, it goes way back to Eddie Guerrero versus versus Rey Mysterio, right? Over the custody of Dominic in a ladder match when, and Vicky was in play and she came to the ring late and Eddie was hanging, Vicky, what the are you, Ricky? And all of that. I mean, this is a 20-year storyline that played out over WrestleMania. To me, for Mania night 30, either night, but Mania 39, that was the standout from the entrance to the preview package to Ray coming out with Snoop Dogg and Dominic coming out kind of all Hannibal Lecter-esque and whatever.
Wait. Speaking of Snoop Dogg, what happened to Shane McMahon?
Ooh, he tore his quads. Oh, that was so bad.
Wow, what was he doing?
He did a leapfrog. That was it.
Leapfrog?
Yeah, he leapfrogged over the Miz, and when he landed, he came down hard on his quad. And just, again, just to give you kind of historics, this is the same injury that befell his brother-in-law, right? It was a two-man power trip, right? It was Austin and Triple H against Benoit and Jericho. Can't believe I mentioned the first name there of Jericho's partner, but
he was in the fight.
He was there, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But Triple H tears his quad, trying to hit one of the guys,
hammer,
right, with the sledgehammer, right? So Triple H tears his quad, and then who could forget the Royal Rumble where Cena and Batista legitimately go both over the top rope and whatever. Vince comes down. As he's coming down the aisle, he throws his jacket. Oh, mother! And he slides into the ring. Can't get up.
He tore
both of them. Right. So Triple H, Vince, and Shane in a WWE ring suffer the same fate. I mean, Vince more. Triple H and Shane, only one of the quads. I mean, I'm just saying only. It's a catastrophic injury, right? Yeah. And Shane was, I would say, the second oldest. Vince would, at the time that it happens, Vince is probably in his like 60s, right? Shane is probably mid-50s, and then Triple H is probably late 30s, early 40s. So it's just crazy. And the fact that it happens in the really Mania 39 is the last WrestleMania under McMahon solely, right? And a lot of people were just like, "Oh my God, McMahon has had control, of the WWE, right? It was once known as the WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, but it even goes further. It goes back to Jess McMahon, who promoted boxing and wrestling in the Northeast. This is Vince McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon's grandfather, right? So for 100 years, to some semblance, a McMahon has had control of this company in one iteration or other, and that is no longer. Although, right, Vince is staying on for almost a Dana White type role. Dana White stayed on after the sale of Zuffa, right? The Fertittas, they kind of go off into another sunset, right? They're still billionaires, right? But Vince McMahon is going to stay on as Ari Emanuel's second to this company, right? And we already saw, the Raw after Mania, which for the last decade or so has been a raucous, kind of experience, because you have all of the people from around the world that have come to see WrestleMania, and they stay an extra day, right? So they boo, the good guys, they cheer the bad guys, they throw beach balls, they have the vuvuzelas all throughout the arena. We saw none of that because Vince is back in control for the first time in almost a year. And he, the returns that you thought you were going to get, the call-ups from NXT that you thought you were going to get, because there was no chance in hell that was happening because Vinnie Mac was in charge. So it's a wild, in the words of Cat Stevens, my gosh, it's a baby, it's a wild world.
Hey man, hey, I heard once Shane O'Mac got injured, Snoop Dogg took the initiative to take over and finish the match. Is this valid?
Yes, it was. That's exactly what happened.
Wow,
man! Shout out to Snoop. Snoop is the MVP of WrestleMania Night 2. Because that's exactly what happened. He had the wherewithal. And yes, he's a WWE Hall of Famer, right? He is the legitimate first cousin of Mercedes Renato, better known as Sasha Banks, right? But this is somebody who has watched wrestling from one iteration or other, since his days at Long Beach Poly, right? Even he knew wrestling before. The story is he used to go to the old LA Sports Arena to go watch matches and stuff like that. So as a young kid or early teen. So the fact that nobody had to tell him, or he might have had maybe like one producer, had kind of got in his ear or what have you, but he had the wherewithal to kind of put it in. And also, shout out to the Miz, because Miz just kind of went with whatever was going on. So, to have, because that was Mania Night 2, right? So, both nights of Mania, both Miz and Snoop Dogg essentially opened the show, right? And then they had this segment, and this third segment in the whole scope of Mania, right? Because so the opener of Mania Night 1, then he comes out and drives Rey Mysterio also in Night 1. Then the opening of Night 2 is him and Miz, right? And then this fourth segment. So 4 segments in, 80,000 seat arena, right? And he figures it out within seconds. Hey, something's wrong. And either somebody whispered in his ear, we need you to do something, him and Miz or whatever, or Snoop had just the internal inclination that shit was wild. But he had maybe 45 seconds to kind of figure it out and did it. And it was, and also in terms of the production side of it, like he had to stall enough time for them to see what the fuck was on the machine and hear 80,000 people to kind of like focus on the ring versus we're carting Shane off. Man, Snoop Dogg and The Miz, to me, the MVPs of WrestleMania, right?
Agreed.
So
Hey, when it comes to, you spoke earlier about entrances, I am blown away by Cody Rhodes, man. Cody Rhodes has come into his own from the days of that young 19-year-old in the little tights, and then he
yeah,
turned into the Goldust's brother, twin brother,
yeah,
Stardust or whatever,
Stardust. Oh, even
and
like
then now,
Dashing. You remember
yeah,
Dashing
yeah,
when he would
dashing
come out
Cody Rhodes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he would
yeah, yeah,
look at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Titantron and it was a
Mhm,
mirror and
mhm,
y'all are smoking
mhm,
mirrors.
mhm.
Dude, that theme
One
song
thing,
is
one thing
awesome.
he's always had is mic skills. He's always had mic skills since day one. But now he's just out of control with it. Now he's Captain America. You know what I'm saying? Now he's
Yeah.
Captain America. He's ready for the Rock, man. He's ready for them to hand him that rock. And I see great things from this kid. You know what? He's about what, 35 now?
I think he's about my age. I want to say we were kind of, I mean, if I were to take a stab at it, 37, 36,
Mm-hmm.
37. That's
Mm-hmm.
without
Mm-hmm.
looking at the Wikipedia, as
Mm-hmm.
Conan says, the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But
What I'm most appreciative is he keeps the old style. He
mhm.
retains the old style. He merges the old style with today
Yeah,
perfectly. Old
100%.
techniques, but Mike skills of today. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And he's keeping that old style alive, right? Everyone is leaning towards that flying, high flying, and all that, which I really appreciate. All spray, I love that guy. Many others, I love those dudes, but that technical mat wrestling, man, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. These new generation folks, I think if they can incorporate that high flying stuff with the technical mat skills like Bret Hart used to, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is what the people want to see, technique. They might not know everything that's going on, but when technique is exhibited, people notice. It's always different when you have technique, even in real fight, even in a WWE. What's this kid's name that's fighting Rob Font? Um, Giannis. When he
Yeah.
fights, man, his just the crispness in his boxing. Uh, um, the one that broke Conor McGregor's leg, Dustin Poirier.
Oh, yeah.
The technique, yeah, the execution of the technique is just flawless. It's not about brawling anymore, man. Well, at least not for me. I'm not into brawling anymore. I'm into technical wrestling and technical striking, and it's a dawn of a new era, man. I'm looking forward to greatness in both WWE and the UFC. The collaboration is gonna birth something new. I just can't wait to see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, what that new is, right? We kind of fear the uncertain. When the first kind of inclination that Vince is coming back and a deal to to acquire the WWE from the McMahons first started. Sorry, first started. There was talk of Saudi Arabia and what have you. I think to an extent, this is the best case scenario. I'm not going to say anything bad about the Saudis at all. No,
Mm-hmm.
ain't nobody got time for that. But
No.
this is the best. This is the best scenario for all parties involved in the long run. But the thing about it is, like on the short term, I mean, Vince McMahon is in charge, and you got to think back to everything that Dana White has said over the years. Dana White has had a close, like a fondness and a respect for Vince McMahon, right? Uh, Vince McMahon has, but then Dana White is just like, oh man, we don't do what they do. That's a whole different thing, and we're not that, and what have you. And Vince has gone on record, or I don't say it on the record, but essentially for the people that were around him, when Shane tried to buy the UFC in the early 2000s, that's one thing people forget. So Shane McMahon tries to buy the UFC, doesn't happen, and Vince doesn't put up the money. And this is very similar to like Tony Khan and AEW, right? Where, the father doesn't want to put up the money, right? So basically Shane also tries to buy Pride after he gets thwarted by his dad in buying the UFC, and that deal falls through too. So it's not like the first dalliance of a McMahon trying to run or buy a MMA corporation. That's existed before, right? I mean, going back to Inoki very much wanted to, make sure that wrestling is in the same conversation in terms of martial arts as karate or jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. It's an actual fighting style. So I guess the association, combat sports, versus like traditional martial arts, right? Or kind of the showman aspect of it, that's always existed, right? But now this is solidified. Now you can't move away from it. And it's funny too, because everybody that has kind of bridged the pop culture lexicon, that's what I like to call it, but the mainstream media, right? In combat sports, whether that be boxing, whether that be MMA, has at one point or the other borrowed a bit, maybe more than a bit, from pro wrestling. We go from Ali, we go from Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, right? I mean, just those three guys alone have competed at a WrestleMania or had some involvement in a WrestleMania over the years, right? I think all three of them are WWE Hall of Famers: Ali, Tyson, and Mayweather, right?
Yep.
Tyson Fury, George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers, who, best tight end in the game today, did the whole thing with Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee himself, he's a kicker and has a wildly successful podcast, SmackDown commentator, and what else? He's the College Game Day, kind of panel person and what have you. So anybody that's done pro wrestling, right, whether they call it pro wrestling or not, the Conor McGregors, the Chael Sonnens, and I can go on and on and on, have utilized a pro wrestling style of the presentation, has done well. Is the one that, at the small window when UFC was still doing, the action figures. They get the action figures out of all the 300 people on the roster. Well, there's about 8, and all of most of the 8 are people that have been involved in pro wrestling one, iteration or another. So I just think it's fun. And again, no more solidified than right now. And what I will also say is the fact that when UFC got purchased by WME Endeavor, right, in 2016, they didn't have a weekly show, let alone multiple weekly shows, right? So this thing comes down, right, on all of the news wires and whatever, all the socials and everything like that, and then we got Monday Night Raw. So people were looking to see what has changed, what's different, what's new, what's whatever, right? And then, the NXT show, which kind of stayed, pretty much even keel, right? But everybody's looking to SmackDown, right? UFC didn't have that. They didn't have, 7 hours of live TV after the UFC purchase, right? They didn't have that, where the WWE has that kind of built in. WWE is coming in, a lion's share of, $21 billion versus the UFC's, $3.4 billion, $3.8 billion in 2016. But I mean, even still, the evaluation of the two companies is something crazy. Like I want to say like 50 or 60 billion dollars, which also shows that that UFC from 2016 to now has pretty much tripled in value, and the number of what the WWE was going to sell for. A lot of people at the most said $9 billion. It was way more than that, almost triple that, 2.5 times. Again, Brave New World. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Ariel Helwani is never going to get a press credential again." I don't know. If Vince likes him, he's okay. It doesn't matter what Dana said, because theoretically speaking, in the corporate structure that is this TKO kind of company, Vince McMahon sits higher than Dana White. Also, another kind of weird iteration, right? What if at some point Dana White is not good with this kind of scenario where Vince is the boss or whatever? And
he can always walk away.
Cool.
He got a lot of money.
You know who else walks away with him?
Who?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
That's
so
true.
Again, this is a lot of people don't understand the full ramifications of what both entities look like in 5 years, right? And most people are like, "Oh, cheering Vince's demise." Vince's mom died at 100. That fucker could potentially have another 20 years left in him up top. So I'm just saying, I mean, Stephanie saw the writing on the wall. She said, "Fuck this." Gave up everything when Vince came back. That's his daughter. That's his daughter, man. Like, Triple H came out on Raw to start, and we ain't going anywhere. He said we. He didn't say I'm not going anywhere. Like,
me and semantics. Vince are not going anywhere.
Yeah, the semantics, right? Like, he's like, we're not going anywhere. He didn't say I'm not going anywhere. And then short term, if you're gonna believe the dirt sheets and whatever, there are a lot of WWE wrestlers that are, they might not see a future in the company anymore, right? That's cool, and that's their prerogative, right? And I honestly understand where they're coming from. There's some fighters that are going to be like, "Yo, I don't want to be associated. I've lived my whole life." If you're Curtis Blades, and I'm sorry, I'm picking on Curtis Blades, right? But he's one that easily comes to mind. Like, I'm not doing all that shit. I'm not cutting the promos. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Whatever.
Okay.
Cool, bro. Adios. Hasta luego.
All right.
See you later.
Don't. Hey, look, man. Look, don't cut no promos. It's okay. But if somebody cuts you in line that's cutting promos, shut the hell up. If you're not getting paid what you feel you're worth, shut the hell up. Period. It is what it is, man. If you're not trying to do what it takes to show your value to the company, then it is what it is. Whatever they do to you, they do to you. If they're gonna pass you up multiple times, then so be it. Gilbert Burns gets it now. He gets it now. Because now he understands why Kobe's getting the next title shot. Leon Edwards, dummy. It took you 9 years to get a title shot. You finally got your title shot. And then what happened to you? You're trying to impose on someone else. Trying to say someone doesn't deserve this and doesn't deserve that. Who are you? Who are you to say someone doesn't deserve this or deserve that? When we both know that Kobe's the one that's going to sell this fight. Without Kobe, you're not going to get paid. Doesn't matter what kind of belt you got. McGregor has already proved that to everyone. Yes, you'll get points off the pay-per-view. But if you're a ticket seller, you'll get more money than the champion. It is what it is. McGregor has proved this over and over and over. And when he comes back and he wins one fight, guess what? He's going to get another title shot. And he'll get a title shot wherever he wants. 155 or 170. He can do that. You know why? Because he puts asses in the seats.
You say that in the division. Fuck this. What? Here's this. Conor McGregor is the one who fucking defeats Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. That is there.
I see that happening too.
100%.
Hey,
SummerSlam.
man, the sky is the limit now.
Right. And you got to remember, right? You got to remember, right? Drew McIntyre, right? Hulk Hogan, right? These are all like Irish, names, right? That, Vince McMahon.
The demon fella.
Oh, Balor, right? Yeah.
Baylor.
Yeah, Finn Balor for Gold right?
Yeah, that guy.
So again, all of them took on surnames that are Irish, entrenched, right? Well, that's a Vince McMahon deal. I mean, not just Vincent Kennedy. I mean, in the case of Hulk Hogan, it's Vincent. What is it? Vincent J. McMahon, right? Vincent J. McMahon is the one who entrusted that name with Hulk Hogan, right? With Terry Bollea, right? Is Hogan because it was Irish, right? So you don't think that Conor McGregor is going to get a fucking title shot? Because everybody wants to go like, oh, well, Vince and the Samoans.
Hey, time out. If that YouTube kid can get a title shot, McGregor can definitely get a title shot. What's that kid's name again? Logan Paul? If Logan Paul can come out of YouTube and get a title shot, you don't think Conor McGregor, double champ, can get a title shot? Come on, man. Conor was doing a double champ thing before Roman Reigns was. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, he got it from Chris Jericho. Yeah. But Chris Jericho didn't make it famous. He didn't make it famous. Conor made the double belt famous. We all know this. It is what it is.
MK Cabby says Kobe's going to lose and get an immediate rematch. That's the rule.
He can do that. He can definitely do that. Why? Because he sells tickets. This is what all these fighters need to understand. Hey man, get your skills up. Go to your local college. Go to your local college and take up speech. That's all you need to do. You don't even have to pass. Take up speech and get in front of the classroom and drop promos every time you're in class. Drop promos. If you can do that in front of a small audience like that, a small sample audience like that, when you get out there and you're fighting and you're in front of the hundreds and the thousands, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do a great job. It's very simple, man. It's very simple. If you don't have the skill, go learn the skill. Whether you like it or not, this is the future. This is the way to your money. And it's that simple. Get this through your heads. This isn't about honor anymore. This isn't about blood sport. Not that movie that you saw, Bloodsport. This ain't Bloodsport no more, man. That's gone. That's the past. And all that died with the Gracies when they sold the company. Okay? All that honor stuff died back in 1994, 95. Died back then. Once it came back under Dana White, now we're talking about entertainment. And those who can entertain will make the money that they deserve. If you cannot entertain, fighting is not enough. Fighting is not enough. Conor has lost 4 or 5 fights straight, and he's still the highest grosser in the UFC. Go figure.
Yeah, and just to piggyback and drive the point home just a little bit more for you, to echo your sentiments, right? Everybody just talking about the sanctity of the sport. You got to remember, UFC 1 was, essentially an infomercial for the Gracie Challenge tapes at the time. So, I mean, the whole sport was basically an infomercial. That's it. I'm just saying. Okay. So, just saying. Okay. So, speaking of it, man, UFC 287 is upon us. We have Israel Adesanya versus Alex Sultan Piera, right, in Miami. But we get the card started off. We've got 7-5 Sam Hughes against the Brazilian 6-0 and Jacqueline Amorim, right? I believe
Mm-hmm.
Amorim is making her UFC debut.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jackie, not the one from 227. That's a different one. It's a different Jackie. But her last win and is over Ashley Nichols in LFA. She also beat the Nigerian Terminator Loveth Young by
Mm-hmm.
knee bar, right? That was a headline bout. So those are two big wins to have her last two. And Sam Page Hughes, right? Or Sam Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
She is a former LFA title contender. She is one who essentially was in the inaugural LFA strawweight championship fight against
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa Lomonster Demopoulos. So who you got?
Yes. Um. Sam Hughes has always had a little issue with grapplers, and I believe she's going to have another issue with this grappler unless she's able to knock her ass out immediately, or maintain separation so she can have her distance. I don't think it's going to happen though. Sam is a very very good fighter, but I believe Jacqueline's grappling will take over. Um, Even if she doesn't get the submission, I believe she controls the match and she wins by unanimous decision or a submission.
Yeah,
Jacqueline Amorim.
I agree with you. And here's just my quick take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think the world of Sam Hughes, right? The
Mm-hmm.
only thing about it is she's almost a different version of what's his face, Patty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your assessment of Patty over, I mean, since the beginning of him talking about him on this show, you have said
Mm-hmm.
like he's getting into wars with people that aren't elite of the division,
Mm-hmm.
and
He's
that
getting hit by them.
100%. I will basically echo those sentiments in the instance of Sam Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
That bears no, that has no bearing on her as a person, her as a fighter, nothing like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
she gets into unnecessary battles, and I mean like 15-minute, brawls with
Mm-hmm.
people that aren't even in the top 15. So
And
um,
she's a very good fighter. I'm
she's
not,
great.
we're not saying she's not a good fighter. She's a very good fighter. When all things are constant, she's great. But once you introduce a shot and grappling and then she's the rhythm is broken. And her rhythm is easily broken, and that's gonna be the problem. Um, I like her a lot, but she's just you know that grappling game of most opponents that she's faced usually pays dividend for the opponent.
Yeah, I mean they're in Miami, right? So I gotta
Hmm.
quote Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine, and the rhythm is going to get you, and that rhythm is going to get Sam Hughes every time. So unfortunately, I think this might be Sam's kind of bon
Farewell.
voyage, yeah, farewell of her UFC tenure, which is sad because in any other era, I think she could have been a title contender, or, I mean, a bigger star than what this current run, gave her. But it
Mm.
is what it is, and that's kind of the nasty side of the sport. And again, as we kind of talked about, everything is changing. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of our favorites have been knocked out of the UFC, man. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Business, business. That's why you got to be an entertainer. If she was losing and she was a great entertainer on the mic, come on now, they'll keep her on for another one. I mean, look at that Cowboy Cerrone. He was a great entertainer. The fans loved him, so they kept him on. They kept him on for as long as he was willing to keep fighting. They kept him on. They didn't fire him, even though he was losing over and over and over and over. I mean, he wasn't even that great on the mic, but the people could count on entertainment, and that's what kept him on the roster. Now he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. So it is what it is. Entertainment. People need to understand. Yes, this is life and death combat. Yes, but just like back in the old days of Rome, win the crowd and you win your freedom. And if in this case, in modern day gladiator, win the crowd and you win your money. It is what it is.
Well, there's a couple gentlemen that are looking to win the crowd, and that is the uh, 13-5 Steve Garcia against the
Mm-hmm.
39-10 Shailan Nurdenbikeke. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're going with. Let's go with Shailan. Obviously, a veteran of almost 50 fights is the Wolverine, right? He's on a 3-fight winning streak. That is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially his I mean, I'm going on it already. WWE,
Mm-hmm.
um, his UFC tenure. He wins his debut. Actually, he loses his debut to Kuya Josh Kulibao, right, in May of 2021, but rebounds over a unanimous decision win over Sean Soriano,
Mm-hmm.
TJ Brown, and Derek Minner, where he KOs with elbows, and that was just what is it? November of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the other side of the docket, we've got Steve Garcia, and Steve, 13-5, is the Mean Machine, and
Mm-hmm.
he is a Jackson Wink, protege out of New Mexico, right? And his
Mm-hmm.
last win was against Chase Hooper, and he's had a kind of a up and down kind of go at it. He comes to the UFC by way of the Dana White's Contender Series back in 2019, right? Um, doesn't get a UFC roster spot, but then goes back to LFA where he competes at LFA 80, where he KOs Jose Marcical, right? KOs
Mm-hmm.
that, and then comes to the UFC. He loses a unanimous decision to Violent Bob Ross and Luis Pena, and then he wins after a pretty much like a three canceled stretch. He was supposed to fight Justin Gonzalez, another LFA veteran, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Bartlett, and Charles Air Jourdain. Those all got canceled. Then he beats Charlie Ontiveros, second round ground and pound. Then Manchi Yep, that's where we're going. Manchi he
Mm-hmm.
loses to in the undercard of the Yuri Prohashka Global Teixeira main event, right? But then he rebounds off of that and he beats Chase Hooper, like the guy that looks like he could be Ben Askren's kid. Yeah, that guy,
Mm-hmm.
that Chase Hooper. And he KOs Ben Askren's kid illegitimately. But
Mm-hmm.
he KOs him in this first round of a UFC fight night back in uh, October of 2022. So we've got
Okay.
the Wolverine versus Steve Garcia, the Mean Machine.
Okay. We have a striker versus a grappler. When it comes to this, the grappler is, 39 fights, 10 losses. He's got almost more losses than this guy's got wins and fights. Shaylan Nurdenbeki is my pick for this particular matchup. I believe he's finally honed his skill, especially in the UFC. He understands well. He lost his first match in the UFC, but then he's figured out a way to weaponize his grappling, and he's controlling the matches. Even so, that he went in there and destroyed Derek Miner in the first round of his last match. Now he's facing Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is in for the fight of his life. This is probably going to be Steve Garcia's toughest match, and I don't believe it's the same for Norton Becky. Becky will control this match. He's powerful enough to get the knockout, so Steve is going to be thinking of this. He's also going to be thinking of the takedown. So these are two different things that he's thinking about. Becky, on the other hand, understands what he's presented with, and he just needs to get the clinch. Once he gets the clinch, it's over. I see a dominant match for Norton Becky. If not a unanimous decision victory, a second round submission victory is what I see.
For all the reasons you said, and then reasons that aren't stated, I agree with you 100%. Wolverine just has that much more fight experience and fight IQ. I feel like he's going to be the water to Steve Garcia's robot, and once you throw the water in it, it's going to malfunction, and that's what we're going to get here. So there you go. That's the unanimous pick, folks. We got the Wolverine Nuremberg over Steve Garcia. So here's another one. The third fight, we've got, some tenured young vets in a catch weight. It's 160 pounds rather than 155 or 170. Right, that's that weird kind of, no man's land in between divisions, right? But we have Ignacio Berhamondes, who's 13-4, going up against the 16-5 Trey Ogden. Let's go with Ignacio first. Ignacio La Jaula. I mean, he's literally the cage. That's what his name means in Spanish, right? But he's coming off of a 2-fight winning streak against Roosevelt Roberts, right? That's a big win. And then Zurong. To me, I think those are two big wins. And the way he does it, it's like a skilled assassin. The Zurong win happens in the third round of their fight, right? With a Bravo choke, right? And then he low kicks the hell out of Roosevelt the Predator Roberts. My goodness, that's some scary shit, because we've seen...
He sent them to the Shadow Realm. I remember.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. And I mean, I think that was the one that sent him out of the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And then
sent him to the Shadow Realm, man.
Yeah. That's... Oof. And then even before, he has a tough split decision against John McDessie, who is a tough customer in his own right. So, man, Ignacio, as of right now, he's kind of my pick, but we haven't even gotten to his opponent of the night, and that is one Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden, 16-5, is the Samurai Ghost. So if you got somebody that is sending his last two opponents to the Shadow Realm, well, you might as well get the Samurai Ghost if I can thwart that and change directions, right? So with that all being said, notable wins. Man, I think this is actually Ogden's second fight in the UFC, right? It's the third. So he's the one who lost a split decision to Jordan Levitt, right? After Jordan Levitt was, had that slam KO and everything like that, and then Levitt went to a split decision. Well, that was over Trey Ogden, right? Then he faces, he being Trey, faces Daniel Zaluber, right? And he beats Daniel by unanimous decision, right? So he's kind of untested at this realm. So I'm going with Ignacio.
Me too.
100%. Yeah.
Me too. I also have Ignacio.
Yeah, I don't even know how it happens, but it happens.
Ignacio, if you remember, he's a dynamic striker. He's got very good length. If I'm not mistaken, he's like at least 6'1". Yeah, he's 6'3". Yeah. Excellent control of his limbs. He throws from afar. He controls distance really well. So you're going to see excellent striking from Ignacio. He's the taller man. Wherever this fight want to go, if Trey Ogden is talking about going to the ground, hey, guess what, man? Guess what? Ignacio is great on the ground. So he is a complete fighter that happens to be a dynamic striker on top of that. This is why Ignacio is going to win. Wherever this fight goes, Ignacio can get a submission or a knockout. This is why I'm picking Ignacio. He's hot right now. He's hot, and the sky's the limit for Ignacio. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a tough fight. Don't get me wrong. Trey Ogden, he's a dog. You know what I mean? But Ignacio is my guy. I got all my eggs in his basket, straight up.
Man, that sounded like a, what is it? I guess a sperm donor thing, like the eggs in the basket. That's where my head went. I mean, it's about to be Easter. That's my favorite holiday, folks. So give me all the eggs in the basket you want.
Let's go.
I'm down. I'm so down. I don't care if it's Ishtar, the fertility goddess of African origins, or the rising of the god, the resurrection, or just people in fucking pastels eating chocolate bunnies and peeps and fucking Cadbury cream eggs and shit, sign me the fuck up, man. Easter's my favorite
Let's go.
holiday, so let's do that. Let's get all the eggs in the basket. But two people that are trying to get their eggs in the, I guess, the performance of the night basket is this heavyweight fight against. I mean, it's Carl Williams. I almost called him Cat Williams.
Whoa! What about Lupita?
Oh my God, I forgot this.
Lupita's
So,
up in here.
okay,
Let's
everything
get it.
that I said about the eggs in the basket, it totally applies because we have former LFA strawweight champion 8-3 Lupi Godinez going against the 9-5-1 former Ultimate Fighter winner in. I'm sorry, that's not her. I'm sorry.
No, that's not her.
Yeah, you know who I was thinking about, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. They look alike.
Yeah, sorry. So again, even still, Lupita Godinez against Cynthia Calvillo, right? This is going to be a slobber knocker. Let's go with Cynthia first, right? So Cynthia Calvillo, she's kind of been on the losing side of things for a bit, right? Her last win is during the lockdown era of the UFC, right? And that is a unanimous decision win over Jessica Evil Eye, right? But even before that, she hadn't won in 2 years. Her last win was against Courtney Casey, right? And then her last finish was in 2018 over Poliana Botello, and that was via rear naked choke, right? But since then, she's even dropped a quintet grappling match against Danielle Kelly, lost a unanimous decision to the blonde fighter Caitlin Chikugian, lost via KO to the former champ Jessica Andrade, basically a corner stoppage that was at the hands of Andrea KGB Lee, an Invicta FC veteran, and then he lost a split decision to the wife of to me, the female greatest of all time. She lost to Nina Nunes, right? So she's on a 4-fight losing streak, is Cynthia Calvillo, and much to what we were saying at the beginning, and you specifically, Voodoo, is she's somebody that the UFC brass has had, kind of a kinship with, right? That any other fighter, any other maybe not aesthetically appeasing, to use the late great Jay Briscoe's terminology, not being cosmetically appeasing enough for the big time, or somebody with maybe even a bit better skill set, but no personality. This one, yeah, exactly. But Cynthia Calvillo is it, and she has, one would presume, one last, I guess, cup of coffee in the big time before she gets sent on her way. But she's got, again, the wrestling, the Mexican Canadian wrestling ability to be against to me, one of the greatest fighters and well-rounded fighters that there is in the game today. Again, the former LFA strawweight champion and friend of the show, Lupita Godinez, right? And Lupita is actually coming off of a loss. That loss being to former Invicta strawweight champion Angela Overkill Hill, right? But then, she's had great wins over Ariane Cardinalosi as well as Loma Luke Bunmi, right? And then we're not even getting into, the Jessica Penne, which that was a loss. That one I was surprised to see happen, but that was also Lupita's first fight in the UFC. But she rebounded after that.
Short notice.
Yeah, short notice, and she gets a, first round armbar finish over Silvana Gomez Juarez. Absolutely dig Cynthia Calvillo, right? But also, me, people that have been on one of the shows that I've been on, I cannot pick against them. So I've got Lupita Godinez, but even if she wasn't on the show, guess what? I'd still probably pick Lupita Godinez. So I don't care how it happens. Lupita Godinez for the win.
Lupita Godinez is going to bring a lot of pressure. She's going to bring that chain wrestling with that beautiful striking that she's got. Cynthia is also a very good striker and grappler, but I'm not sold on. I mean, we're fighting. This is gonna be at what, strawweight at 115. Flyweight is at what, 125.
Right.
I'm not sure what her weight cut is gonna be like. Cynthia Calvillo. I'm not sure. I think it's always been an issue. So Lupita is gonna bring the pain. She's gonna bring a whole lot of pressure, get her out of rhythm, and win by unanimous decision. That's what I see. She might not be able to stop Calvillo, but I see her winning by control. She will control her, and she will win by unanimous decision.
Couldn't agree with you more. So there you go. That's a consensus pick in Lupita Godinez. As we move it up the card, and I got a little bit ahead of myself because I'm super excited to have two heavyweights. This is some big boys slapping meaty meats. We've got the 8-1 Carl Williams, right? Not to be confused with Cat Williams, different guy completely. And I mean, Cat Williams is not a heavyweight fighter in the UFC. But he could be champion with this whole Endeavor TKO WWE deal. So, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. Anything can happen in the WWE, right? But Carl Williams is going up against the 16-11 Chase the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman, right? So let's go with Mr. Sherman first. This is a guy who has been on. Oof, I mean, he fought Joey Beltran in the undercard of the Artem Lobov somebody night BKFC fight, right?
Yes.
Then he comes to the UFC and he beats but via TKO Hurricane Ike Villanueva, right?
Yep.
And canceled that with Parker Porter, but then it just, I mean, loss after loss happens here. First loss in the UFC happens at the hands of former UFC heavyweight champion, the Belarusian pitbull, Andrei Arlovsky. Then he loses another unanimous decision to Parker Porter. Then loses via rear naked choke to Jake Collier, right? And then council bout with King Kong Alexander Romanov. That doesn't happen. But then when it does happen, Chase Sherman befells King Kong Romanov via an Americana. An American losing to a Russian via an Americana submission. That you cannot write. I love the semantics in it, but I mean, that's just me. I like chaos. And then his last win was a KO of Jared Vandera at UFC Fight Night in 2022. Then he basically loses a unanimous decision to Waldo Cortez Acosta, right? So let's go to Mr. Carl Williams, right? Who, I mean, just on what we've kind of talked about here, I feel like Carl Williams is going to be, I mean, the favorite. He has to be, right? He's on I mean, the dude hasn't lost since 2021, and that doesn't seem like a long time, right?
True.
But he's beaten Miles Amos in PFL Challenger Series last year. Then Kyle Wright at Icon FC3, right? Which could be found on UFC Fight Pass. Dig that promotion, as well as the belt designs are pretty fucking awesome, right? And then ex-MMA Southern Heat in July of 2022. He beats Simon Morini, right? Then he beats via unanimous decision Jimmy Lawson on Dana White's Contender Series, and then wins his UFC debut against Lukas Brzezinski, right? Via unanimous decision. I have Carl Williams via unanimous decision in this fight. What you got for me, Voodoo?
Well, if Carl Williams is coming through with some beautiful grappling, then I say, he's got a very, very good chance. He is from American Top Team in Atlanta. I don't know what kind of grappling they're doing over there, if he was from Florida, American Top Team in Florida, then I can be like, okay.
You got to remember, the American Top Team Georgia is the fucking Pitbull brothers.
Okay.
Former Bellator world champion.
Yeah, I'm not impressed by those dudes.
Really? Okay.
Nah. Not at all. I'm not impressed, man.
Okay.
Until they come to the UFC, I'm not impressed.
All
Not
right.
yet. Not yet. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not sold yet. Pitbull brothers.
I feel you.
Pitbull 1, Little Pitbull, and Big Pitbull. I'm not impressed by y'all performance yet. It is what it is. If this fella, Carl Williams, if he can come through with some very good clinch work and grappling, then I believe he'll be able to withstand the storm that is the vanilla gorilla, Mr. Sherman. Sherman can take it and he can dish it out. Will Carl Williams be able to take it and dish it out? He's still young in his career. Chase Williams, he's been bare knuckle. He's seen a lot of greasy, dirty, grimy fights, and I believe Chase Sherman will be able to take it. He'll be cut up and all, but I think he'll win. He'll be able to overwhelm Carl Williams and get him out of there in the third. He's gonna outdo him in the third. He's gonna outstrike him in the third. That's how I see this one going.
I don't know. And that whole bare knuckle deal and coming to the UFC, I feel like there's enough scar tissue in Chase Williams' head, or Chase Sherman's head, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
that it's going to be like a fucking doctor stoppage or some shit. Because those
He
bare
better
knuckle,
Carl Williams better pray for a doctor stoppage because Chase is gonna keep coming like a zombie.
zombie. Shout out to the Cranberries. R.I.P. Dolores O'Riordan.
Good song.
Hell yes. Oh, it's so good. But you know what else is good? Man, this 185-pound fight between Joseph Pfeiffer, 10-2, against GM3, 35-15, Gerard Michart. So let's go with GM3 first. Man, he's a tenured veteran of the sport. Wins over Bruno Silva, Dustin Solfis, Makhmud Muradov, right? Bertos Fabinski. We've talked about Fabinski at length on this show, and how much of a fan we both are of him and respect his acumen, right? Lost to, I mean, of course, who could forget that Abu Dhabi lost to Hamzat Chimaev, right? He beat Deron Wynn, who's literally a little DC. Man, I don't even know what the fuck happened to him because he was on the Tito Chuck 3 undercard. Then he gets signed to the UFC, and talk about getting sent to the Shadow Realm. I don't even know what the fuck happened to that guy. So, anywho. So GM3, he's been there. Lost to Kevin Holland, Jack the Joker Hermanson, beat Oscar Pajoda, Eric Spicely on the Ultimate Fighter 26 finale. Man, this dude has been there forever in the UFC. He's literally been in the UFC since, what is it? 2017. 2017, UFC Fight Night 105, actually 102, right? And so 2016, he's in the UFC, but he's been fighting since, Jesus Christ, 2007 is when he makes his debut. So he's like over 10 years in the MMA game, right? But, somebody who wants to dash all of that is one Joseph Pfeiffer. Joseph Pfeiffer, 10-2, is Body Bags. That's a scary ass nickname. Not everybody's rocking Body Bags, but Joseph Pfeiffer is, right? And this is the guy who beat, friend of the show, right, on Dana White's Contender Series, Ozzy Diaz. And he beats him literally in July of 2022, right? Beat your boy, Eric Anders, in grappling at Fury Pro Grappling. I don't know, man. Like, if you beat a friend, and you KO a friend, I feel like, it's the sacrificial lamb, right? And Ozzy Diaz's chin, basically was sacrificed to kind of usher in the era of body bags, right? So I'm going with Joseph Pfeiffer.
Okay. The problem is this fella that he's going up against, his grappling. Yeah, his grappling is formidable, but also he's lost to fast hands. You know, I believe this Pfeiffer fella, if he plays his cards right, keeps that distance and throws from afar, he might be able to clip him and take him out with excellent striking. I mean, Christoph Jotsko uh, beat him. If that guy can beat him, I believe this Joseph Pfeiffer can also beat him. This Joseph Pfeiffer is the fella that Dana White broke off and gave some money to so he wouldn't be homeless. Um, if Dana's willing to come out the pocket like this for this fella, he sees something. He sees something in him. And I'm gonna go with that as well. And he is on a 3-5 win streak. Um, I'm gonna roll the dice on this Pfeiffer fella. I'm gonna roll the dice and say he gets out of there in a split decision. It's gonna be a tough match for him, possibly the toughest for him, or it could be a quick knockout by him. Either way, Joseph Pfeiffer, I'm picking him as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that point about Dana White, and you literally going into his own bank account, right? And cutting him whatever money that he needed to sustain himself, right? So that just shows the potential that one Dana White has seen in Pfeiffer, right? Yeah, and that's a catch-22 about being as experienced as Jared Mishart, right? Is on one hand you've got all the experience, right? But then you've been in so many fucking battles throughout the course of your career, like over a decade, almost 20 years, right? Like 2007. That's 16 years.
This particular one, even if he was fresh, bro, it's the genetics, the hand speed. The speed advantage of Joseph Pfeiffer is what's going to play a major role in this particular match. And Jared Mearshart is not that quick. If he gets a hand on you, then he can do his thing, right? But if Pfeiffer is able to manage his distance and throw those long range weapons, he will take them out quite easily. But if he makes a mistake, then that's his ass, Mr. Postman.
Yeah, hell yeah. In the words of Karl Malone, you ain't gonna get shit here. You're gonna be fucking, I mean, GM3 is gonna be fucking dodging Pfeiffer's hands like Karl Malone dodges child support. That's what I'm going with. I might know a little bit too much there, but that's where I'm going with. So I'm sorry, Mr. Mailman. But anyway, we have a strawweight battle. This is a battle. We've got former Invicta world champion Michelle Waterson Gomez, 18-10, going up against the 10-1 Luana Pinheiro, right? So let's go with the former Invicta world champion Michelle Karate Hottie Waterson Gomez, right? And it's just weird. I mean, do you and everything like that, but she's been married for quite a while, but now she adopts her husband's last name in her fight persona. I guess, do you, but it's kind of late in the game, to kind of add his last name to it, and what the fuck do I know? But again, former Invicta world champion has faced the likes of Carla Cookie Monster Esparza. Shout out to Carla Esparza and her husband. They're expecting a kid. So shout out to them. Carla Esparza, literally the first Invicta world champion and strawweight champion, and the first UFC strawweight champion. Again, you don't get to be the first twice. Carla Esparza does it, and she is going to be ushered into parenthood, right? Motherhood. So shout out to her and her new husband. But I mean, Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie, has faced some of the best, including a former the former Invicta world champion herself, in Angela Overkill Hill, Carla Esparza, the aforementioned one, been in there with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Karolina Kovacevic, Felice Bulldog Herring, Courtney Casey, Paige Van Zandt, Tisha Torres, Rose Namajunas, Angela Manana. Jesus Christ. Like some of the names, man, you got to go way back into, women's MMA kind of deal to kind of remember who the fuck they are. Jessica Penne back in Invicta, Lacey Schuckman. Again, being a Invicta a fan, that like I'm literally picturing in my head the fights that are happening. So if it's not coming out as well, that's why that's happening. And it's funny enough with all the WWE UFC merger news and everything like that. Tony Khan of AEW fame was like, I got this big announcement and shit like that. I was like, the only thing that he can fucking do right now is buy Impact Wrestling and Invicta from Anthem Sports up in Canada. I was like, I mean, that's how you fucking, do it. And it was like, I bought 2 more fucking promotions that I don't know what the fuck to do with. Buy those two. I don't know. In my head, it worked out, right? But that's Michelle Waterson, man, like an all-time great. Definitely, if there's an Invicta Hall of Fame, Karate Hottie goes in there for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, easy. But man, to get that enshrinement, she's going to be encased in the wall of combat sports acumen that is none other than Luana Pinheiro, right? So Luana Pinheiro hasn't lost since 2017 when she was still fighting on the Brazilian regional circuit. She goes into Brave Combat Federation, right, overseas, right, and beats Elaine Neal, right. She fights all throughout Brave, from Brave Combat CF 11, 26, and 29. Then comes to the Dana White Contender Series in 2020, beats Stephanie Fausto, right? And if you know Stephanie Fausto, that's one tough customer. But Luana KOs her in the very first round, right? Then you got Randa Marcos. Randa unfortunately hit an illegal upkick on Luana, which Luana gets the win, right? And then an aforementioned Sam Page Hughes. Luana basically, battles Sam Hughes into unanimous decision. So now we are with the Karate Hottie, right, against Luana Pinheiro. And I got Luana. Again, absolutely dig Karate Hottie, a former Invicta world champion. But at 37 years of age, I don't see her basically thwarting the advancement of the younger generation. So, and in many ways, Karate Hottie was in Invicta at a time where UFC didn't have a strawweight division, right? So she kind of suffered that, she was going to be as big as Invicta was at that point, and even still in some MMA circles, most people don't either know of Invicta or watch it with any regularity. And I think that hurt, Karate Hottie in those formative years, but at 37, in MMA years in a fast division like strawweight, I think this is it.
You made a very valid point. Age does catch up to all of us, despite the wisdom of Michelle Waterson. Sad but real, Luana is a younger dog, very, very good with the grappling. Excellent striker. Yeah, I got to go with Luana Pinheiro as well, man. She's younger, stronger, speed advantage. Waterson, what more could she add to her game? She's been there with the very best. She's got great experience. Who knows? She could shock us. She could shock us, and it could be her wrestling that makes a huge difference. But when someone goes to Brave is not a place where some average Joe goes and wins in the first round. If Luana can go to Brave and win the first round, that tells me there's something there. There's something there. There's something to look out for. So I'm also gonna go with her as well. I agree. Luana Pinheiro.
Yeah. And as we kind of are talking in this UFC endeavor, WWE deal, you got to look to,
Mhm.
maybe a Karate Hottie or a Felice Herring or Ashley Evan Smith, right? Kind of being, in some ways factored in. I can't
Mm.
think of Vince McMahon looking at the three ladies that I mentioned, or like a Cowboy Cerrone who starred in movies, and what have
Mhm.
you. I can't see them not having a bigger role with the company
Mm.
going forward. You know, um, yeah, and at the very least, and one thing that I hope is going to happen of this merger is some sort of like, you know, aftercare plan for a lot of
Mm.
these guys and girls in both pro wrestling and MMA. So I hope if that were to happen, well, Karate Hottie, Ashley Evan Smith, a Felice Herring, and that's just to name a few. I mean, I could
Mm.
go on for days and what have you, but I think will. They already have a good command in their presence and entertainment factor. I mean, Karate Hottie trains at Jackson Wing. She's like the best friend of former bantamweight champion Holly, the preacher's daughter, home, who just picked up a win, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, I think the life after fighting is going to look pretty bright for Karate Hottie. And again, she is the perfect kind of person to take advantage of whatever this merger is going to be going forward.
Yeah, she's great on the mic too.
Yeah,
So she has a job with the UFC once she's done. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if she retires after this one. You know,
yeah,
I wouldn't
I
be
agree.
surprised at all. And I'm sure they, I mean, the UFC likes her. She's been with the UFC since the transition,
Right.
and she's been doing great things ever since. Even in losses, she's phenomenal. So she's she's that company girl. She's a company girl, and she will be around for many more years, even if she's not a fighter. Either way, Luana is gonna win this one.
Yeah. Now, I mean, not to say that all of the fights before this um, aren't great. I think they are, and I think you're going to get a potential fight of the night contender. Out of one of the previous fights that we're going to talk about. Going forward. But I think this kind of point in the card, this is all killer no filler. This is like a fucking wagyu steak, and we're starting it off from here to the top of, to the main event. But
Hmm.
shit me, we have former UFC title contender Kevin Gastelum, 17-8, against the Action Man Chris Curtis, 30-9. Um,
Hmm.
Chris Curtis is one who, man, he should have been in the UFC. He kind of reminds me of Victor Henry, right? And not just
Hmm.
because, we were fortunate enough to see both gentlemen, Victor and Chris, fight in, the Southern California region for many a years. But I mean, I think their calls should have probably happened at least 5 years ago, right? Um, Kevin Gastelum is somebody who has, for a number of years trained at what is it, King's MMA over in Huntington Beach, right? But
Hmm.
I feel like Gastelum for this fight with Chris Curtis is still fucking hungry, right? And he's one who, again, um, should have been here many moons ago, right? And Chris Curtis knows that. And I think he's hungrier than Kevin Gastelum, which is saying something because Kevin Gastelum, for a large part of his career post Ultimate Fighter, had missed weight for basically eating, right? so, so with that all being said, I've actually got Chris Curtis by third round KO. I think this is going to be a dogfight, but I feel like Kevin Gastelum fights like a giant. Like in I believe in his head, he believes he's Stefan Struve, right?
Hmm.
Because the way that he stands very flat footed in his stance, and that was pretty apparent, wasn't it? The Israel Adesanya fight, right? He fought Adesanya.
Yeah,
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 way back. Like I want to
very
say,
good match.
yeah, but he was flat-footed like a motherfucker. And again, it reminded me of somebody that should be taller than he actually is.
Mm,
I've been around Gaslam. He's probably no bigger than me, about
mm,
5'9", 5'10" ish,
mm.
right? So I think, man, I hate this because again, two SoCal guys, like who do you gotta pick? But in my belief, like the killer instinct goes by the way of Action Man Chris Curtis. So I got Chris Curtis, third round KO.
Hey man, I'm with you with the Chris Curtis. Uh, Bottom line, with Calvin. Calvin is not in his natural weight class. I don't feel. Uh, Calvin has been wasting, in my humble opinion. No disrespect. I feel Calvin has been wasting his career fighting in a 185-pound division, being fat. You know, he has no business being fat in the octagon. Uh, it makes no sense to look at him and see fat around his belly, and him being that small or short. Um, he needs to be ripped, and to be ripped, he needs to be at 170. He lacks discipline. He can't put down the burrito. You know what I mean? That's his problem. It's my humble opinion. I don't know him, but this is what I see. I've been saying for many years now, he does not belong in the 185-pound division. He belongs in the 170. He should have been the antagonist for Kamaru Usman. He would have been the perfect antagonist for Kobe Covington, Leon Edwards. He would have been perfect. His wrestling is second to none. His wrestling is second to none. His striking is fantastic. But when you're going up against these big dudes, these guys that are naturally 250 pounds, but they're making weight at 185, and you're you're walking around at possibly 220, going down to 185. Fat. You're not in shape. You're fat. You know, when you have a spare tire around your stomach, you're fat. You're fat. I mean, he was what, 5'7", 5'8". You know, he's fat. Bottom line, he's fat. He's not that tall, like you said. He couldn't be more than 5'9". At the highest, he couldn't be more than 5'9". You know, yeah, 5'9". It says right here. Me personally, I humbly believe that he would have made more of his time being shredded than being fat. It's just unfortunate what's happened to him, to his career. You know, well, we're 5-fight losing streak. Israel, Darren Tills, Hermanson, Robert Whitaker, Cannonier. These dudes are big. They're all big. Yeah, you got through Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping was done, man. He was blind in one eye. You know what I mean? Ronaldo Souza. Uh, he's old. You know, he's old. These guys that he's beaten recently are old. Heinich, whatever. He's old. The Hurricane, he's old. These guys are old, you know. But the guys that are young, I mean, you lost to Darren Tills for Christ's sake. Darren Tills can't even. Darren Tills can't even win a fight. Hermanson, you caught him in the heel hook. You got lucky. You know what I mean? Robert Whitaker, way bigger than you. Jared Cannonier, way bigger than you. These are hard hitters. And these guys are beating you by unanimous decision. You do not belong in the ring with these guys. No, you do not. You belong in the ring with Jake Ellenberger, Tyron Woodley. You know what I mean? Nate Marquardt, Matt Brown, Neil Magny. These are the people that you should be fighting. You know, until he fixes that, he will continue to lose. You know, because this is not his division. You know, yeah, he's able to eat whatever he wants, but To be the man, you got to beat the man. And to beat the man, you got to sacrifice. And without sacrifice, there is no reward. Kevin Gastelum, there will be no reward for you on Saturday because Chris Curtis is going to come in and he's going to beat your ass. And that's that.
I say that is that 100%. My goodness. Shit. That was one of the best takes that you've had ever. Jesus Christ, you hit the nail right on the head, and you verbalized everything that I thought, but it just in a better manner. Again, Mario Yamasaki, see you in your assessment. VoodooMaximus.
Hey, I love Kevin Gastelum. I love the way he fights.
Same.
I love his heart. But the fact that he can't put the food down for 1 second for a few weeks. Put the food down for a few weeks, man. You know what I'm saying? Get your body to its optimal level. You know what I mean? Be nice and lean when you go in there and go whoop somebody's ass.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, don't expect to win against bigger dudes, man. Come on, man. Chris Curtis is a big mother. Come on, man. He's a big dude. You see him.
Yeah, he is. Like
when he's
tank.
in that ring, he's super shredded, 6'8" pack.
Yeah.
Super shredded. Shoulders out to here.
His flat top has abs. His flat top has abs. His beard has
Tell
abs.
me about it. Tell me about it. How you gonna get through that? Get out of here, man.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you. But man, we were talking a lot about age and everything like that. We got two young guns, right? And I'm not talking about the Lou Diamond Phillips. What's his name? Emilio Estevez.
I'll make you famous.
Yes. But we got Christian Rodriguez, 8-1, going up against a 7-0. God, the chin is one Raul Rosas Jr., the youngest fighter to ever be signed to the UFC. But let's look over Christian Rodriguez, or as they like to call him around the parts that he goes in, is C-Rod, right? Not D-Rod, C-Rod. Okay, I got you.
I
see what you did there. Yeah. But he's got wins over Joshua Weems, Ryan McIntosh, right? That was pre-UFC. I mean, there aren't too many big names in terms of this, but I mean, he is a Bellator veteran, a CFFC veteran, and an LFA veteran. So that's, he did all the things, right, to essentially get to this echelon of MMA competition. He is a Rufus Sport Academy team member, right, along with the Pettis brothers and so many other great veterans of the sport, right? But my goodness, Raul Rosas Jr., man, you want to talk about a rocket ship that they've lit basically strapped to this Raul Rosas Jr. I mean, this is Roman Reigns-esque a push that the UFC has given him. You know what Vince and the WWE have done with Roman Reigns, it seemingly happened with the UFC with Raul Rosas Jr. He's perfect 7-0. He's the child problem, right? The El Nino problema, right? A veteran of the
problem child.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Why didn't I put that together? Jesus Christ, I took it literal. Thank you, Voodoo. But he is a veteran pre-UFC of fighting almost entirely. He fought entirely in the UWC promotion in Mexico. One of the, we're talking about 3 champions in the UFC, all from Mexico. Well, I mean, UWC is a major catalyst for the next generation of Mexican fighters. So shout out to UWC. And I think for the most part, you can find them on UFC Fight Pass, right? And then, prior to that, he being Raul Rosas Jr., has grappled at Emerald City Invitational, 2 events, right? One, he lost to Luis Quinones, who, funny enough, I interviewed. Luis Quinones was my last interview that I did at EBI right before lockdown happens. So that's just a weird one. But Luis Quinones is a Eddie Bravo disciple, right? So theoretically speaking, in combat sports, Luis Quinones is probably the biggest name
Legit.
of Raul Rosas's career, right?
Mm.
But that rear naked choke win against Jay Perrin, that wasn't bad either, right? So I'm sorry, they're strapping a rocket to the sucker. I got Raul Rosas Jr. Not to say that Christian Rodriguez is a pushover or a tomato can or whatever, but has UFC in the past, and especially now that this WWE UFC merger with Endeavor and all that shit happening, maybe it's an easy fight. And I don't say I think it's Raul Rosas Jr.'s toughest fight to date, right? But is it
Mm-hmm.
the toughest he could have faced? Maybe, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the same of Christian Rodriguez, right? If Christian
Mm-hmm.
Rodriguez wants to put on a show, I mean, Raul Rosas Jr.'s got a chin. You fucking knock that shit out, you know. So,
Yeah. It's a
so
huge
there's that.
target, man.
Yeah, I mean that's your fist should be heat-seeking missiles to the target that is appeared in front of you, right? So, and I'm not saying anything about. I mean, he's a kid, right? So, don't want to get into, that. But I'm just saying, like, this is a career or a highlight reel potential fight, right? I think the outcome, especially if it ends up being a finish, and namely a KO of both either Raul Rosas over Christian Rodriguez or vice versa, Christian Rodriguez over Raul Rosas Jr. I think it's something that's going to be replayed, in the UFC highlight packages for a couple years to come, but definitely go viral on the social media. But even still,
Mm-hmm.
I still got Raul Rosas Jr. I want to say it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be some sort of submission.
Yeah, I'm with you with the Raul Rosa, man. He's got this gift from God, which is that gas tank. He weaponizes it. He brings the pressure, and most folks break as he's bringing the pressure to them. So it is what it is. Raul Rosa, control, absolute control or submission in the third. Because I'm only going to the third because his opponent is also a very good grappler, but I'm not sure if he's able to withstand such pressure.
You're right. I mean, it's pressure like the 1975 song, but also control like the Janet Jackson song. So I'm just saying, this is going to be a great fight, especially if you're a grappling fan. You know, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Raul Rosas Jr. He himself is a grappling impresario. I think he wants to show what the fuck his hands can do, and I think the same with Christian. So this is going to be a fun one, but also fun. Holy fucking shit! To me, this could have headlined like a UFC fight night, but we've got Santiago Ponzinibbio going up against the Trailblazer Kevin Holland. Now, 29-6 is Santiago, the Argentine Dagger. I didn't even know that was his nickname, but there it is. That's his nickname. He's the Argentine. He's from Argentina. Uh, Argentina. I almost said Argentinia. That's not a place. Don't go there. But Argentina. That's so sad because I actually just watched a video of the hyperinflation in Argentina. So I thought of him, and I should know Argentina, but I said Argentina in my head. So that's where my head is going, folks. But anyway, Santiago Ponzinibbio, right, has wins over Neil Magny, Mike Perry, Gunnar Nelson, Nordine Talib, Zach Cummings, Court McGee. Holy shit. A loss to Lorenz Larkin in Lorenz's short tenure with the UFC, right? Well, I mean, it wasn't. To me, Lorenz Larkin, because the latter part of his career has been spent in Bellator, that I completely forgot that he was in UFC for a little bit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
more than a little bit, I should say. So there's that. Sean Strickland, who Santiago has a win over as well. He was supposed to fight Jordan Main. That's another, old school name for old school fans, right? Um, Beat Thiago Silva on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil season 2. I mean, he's a Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 2 alumnus. So that's, I mean, shit, man. That's Santiago has been in there with some of the sport N division's best. He was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman. That didn't happen. But I mean, nowadays it's kind of a up and down deal with Santiago, right? Because the Leech Li Zhang, right, or Jinglang, I should say, lost via left hook. Miguel Baeza, that was a win, but a split decision loss over Jeff Neal and Michel Piera, right? Um, then a win over the Great White, Alex Morano, was his last fight to date, where he KOs Morano with an overhand right in the third round, right? So supposed to fight Robbie Lawler, but that didn't materialize, and now we've got Kevin Holland. Now to go with Kevin Holland, man, who can forget that fucking up punch, whatever the fuck that shit was, while he was talking shit over Jacare Souza. That shit was the wildest shit I had seen up to that point. But I mean, there's been some crazy shit since then. So there's that. But just look at the names that the Trailblazer has been in there with, right? We're looking at Thiago Santos, right? Former UFC title contender, who just lost actually in PFL this past week. And then you got John Phillips, rear naked choke win, GM3, a split decision win over him. Alicio Di Chirico, right? Unanimous decision win. Then lost to Brendan All-In Allen via rear naked choke. Then beats Anthony Hernandez with a knee to the body. Supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez and Trevor Giles. Those don't materialize, but he faces Joaquin Buckley, Numanza, and KOs Numanza with a right cross, right down the fucking middle in the third round of their particular fight. Beats Darren Stewart via split decision. Then Charlie Ontiveros, a verbal tap. Rafa Suarez has got to love that, right? And then, again, that fucking up punch to fucking Ronaldo Jacare Souza, a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion and former Strikeforce world champion. And fucking Kevin Holland just, boop, there you go, during a fucking scramble. One of the damnedest things I'd ever seen. I'm sure you can attest to that as well, right? And then wins over Darce choke victory over Tim Means, and then Alex Cowboy Oliveira gets KO'd by the Trailblazer. But the last two fights, mind you, it was fucking Hamzat Chimaev, right, on a fucking short notice, and then Wonder Boy, one of the most technical strikers in all of MMA, right? I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I want to see your assessment on it, because Kevin Holland, I don't know karate, but I know crazy. That's Kevin Holland.
You better ask somebody.
Yeah, that's Kevin Holland, but also Santiago. Whew, buddy. So I fucking don't know.
Let me tell you, man. Common sense tells me that don't engage Holland in a striking battle. No. Why would I want to do that? I mean, I don't know what this ranking is all about. Middleweight, 113. This fight is going to be at welterweight, right? This fight is going to be at welterweight at 170. But at middleweight, Santiago is 113, which sends the wrong signal. Ponzinibbio is a very well-balanced fighter. He might be ranked 113 in middleweight, but usually I believe he fights at welterweight, right? Am I mistaken? Am I missing something?
You're right.
Here?
You're right.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that explains a 113th position in the world at middleweight. But at welterweight, I'm sure it's much closer than that. At least he's top 15, if not top 10. But he's not going to engage Kevin Holland where Kevin Holland is comfortable. A smart coach will tell Santiago engage him where he is least comfortable, which is the ground. Take him to the ground as soon as possible, keep him there, and beat him there. Ponzinibbio, Ponzinibbio, he's going. I would advise him to take it to the ground and keep it on the ground, and finish him there. If he decides to stand with Kevin Holland, he could get knocked out because that reach advantage is too great, and the power in Kevin's hands too great. He's too tall. He's 6'3". He understands reach advantage. He understands how to get in people's heads. You know what I mean? The 3-inch advantage is too great. It's just too significant. I would wrestle the hell out of him. That's what I would do. The Argentinian dagger better do what's smart and not try and please the crowd. This is not the time to please the crowd. You need to gather a win. You know what I mean? He needs to gather a win. He needs to start stringing wins together so he can look attractive once again. And until he does that, nothing good will come from trying to impress the crowd. Saturday is not the day to impress the crowd. Saturday is the day to add to his win streak, because Kevin Holland is not the one he wants to play with. So I say Ponzinibbio wins this by unanimous decision or even a submission in the third round.
Yeah, see, I don't know what the fuck. And poor Santiago, right? Because versus his actual name, Santiago Ponzinibbio, right? I want to fucking call him Pinocchio because he fought another crazy fucker named Platinum Mike Perry, who's talking shit over in fucking BKFC now against Luke Rockhold. Again, like fucking Santiago has gotten a fucking shit end of the stick both times in front of a fucking lunatic that has skills, right? So I'm sorry, Santiago, but I you know what? I think this might be our first 50-50 because again, he's got crazy skills, and you know, to kind of echo the sentiment of a friend of the show, Jesse Velasquez, but Jesse's fucking trained with him. Jesse has been, and his brother have been training in jiu-jitsu for fucking since they were like 7, and they're like in their mid-20s now, right? And they went to a fucking seminar with all those guys in what's it, Pinnacle? Jake Bainey's place over in Inland Empire. You know, you've got fucking OG Bobby Green. You got Darion Caldwell. Now the former, you know, California bantamweight champion, Camo bantamweight champion, Jennifer Genflo Flores. You got a bunch of motherfuckers there, right? Bad motherfuckers there. And Jesse tells me a story that they went on a seminar, and Jesus Christ, what Kevin Holland ends up doing to people as he's talking shit, it's nuts. It's nuts. So I can't bet against Kevin Holland because yes, there's something amiss in terms of his whatever is going on in his head. But is there skill? Yeah. Fuck yeah, there's skill. He's an assassin that will talk shit to you while he's assassinating you.
And that is exactly why I would not want to strike with him.
Yeah.
A smart coach will teach his fighter not to strike with that guy. There's no need.
But he's just as deadly in jiu-jitsu though.
But he hasn't shown that.
He hasn't shown it because he just like what's his face? Fucking Mr. World Series to fight. Gaethje. Gaethje got world-class wrestling.
I have a question for you. Where is Kevin Holland strongest? Striking or on the ground?
He is the strongest in deceit. And I say that because when you think he's going to fucking strike and he can fucking handle you on the feet and he'll fucking grapple you.
Okay.
Or he'll fucking back fucking elbow you and whatever. He's got intangibles. You remember in math when we were talking about integers,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
exponents,
Yes.
right? X plus whatever equals the number or whatever the fuck.
Mhm.
That's Kevin Holland. He's that shit. You don't know what to add, to subtract. Why the fuck is letters in this numbers game? You don't know. But that's Kevin Holland.
Yes.
I don't even think he understands. Or he might understand and just, kind of pool shark you and just give you a little taste before he completely obliterates you.
Right. Right.
Santiago we've seen what he can do, and it is versatile, right? But he has a style. Kevin Holland doesn't have a style.
Right.
His style is everywhere.
Yes.
And he's just as lethal everywhere.
Yeah. But he's least lethal on the ground.
I don't know.
All his submissions that he's gotten, it's from after he stunned people.
Yes, 100%.
Stuns them, then he takes their neck. He stuns them. All this is from standing.
Again,
I don't see him working off his back or he doesn't really. He prefers to stand and make a statement. This is his
mode of operations. Yeah.
This is how he operates. He'd rather knock you the hell out than anything else. Yes, like you said, he's very good on the ground. He's got ground game, but he prefers to stand. He prefers to take your head off. And I, being an intelligent human being, will do my absolute best to stay away from that. I mean, look at what Marvin Vettori did to him.
Yeah.
He did not engage him at all. Hamza Chimaev immediately went for that shot. The only person that engaged him recently was Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because he had excellent kicks.
Yeah.
Those kicks
and that point karate distance.
Yeah, those kicks made a difference.
100%.
Those side kicks, those whip kicks, those leg kicks, those roundhouse kicks, those dynamic kicks made a difference. But Ponzinibbio doesn't have dynamic kicks. He's got kicks, but they're not dynamic. You know what I mean? His wrestling is gonna have to come in handy in this one, because if he goes in there and he stands with Holland, he's gonna get knocked the fuck out. I'm sorry. Even though he's a knockout artist himself, he's going to get knocked the fuck out because that distance is too great. It's just too great. It's too great.
Yeah.
You cannot lose to a Kevin Holland, because if you do, you fall way down. He's got to play this one safe.
Yeah, I agree.
But, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very good fight.
And again, I mean, it could be a fucking 15-minute crazy like blood and guts or whatever the fuck. It could end in 3 seconds, or it could be just as stale as the fucking Wonder Boy versus Tyron Woodley fucking fight. Yeah, either one of them.
Yeah,
namely that UFC 209 one, which I will never, ever fucking forget that one. I was in the house at that one. Everybody booed the shit out of it. It was just horrible. So I'm just saying. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
Either way, it's going to be fire.
Hell yes. Hell yes. I believe that, But also, I mean, this is to maybe the beloved of Filthy Casuals. You might not know these two names, but this has the running of being a potential fight of the night contender, and that is 16-3 Adrian Yanez, right? Going up against the 19 and Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of fucking fights. 19-6 Rob Font, right? So let's look at Mr. Yanez first. Mr. Yanez is again 16-3, like I just previously mentioned, but his Jesus Christ, he hasn't lost since LFA 55, where he was in the main event with, I believe it was Miles Johns. Yep, it was Miles Johns. This is somebody that before the Miles Johns fight, he was supposed to fight who would become a UFC Ultimate Fighter alumnus in Ricky Tercios. I think that's crazy that fight almost happened. He also beat Trent Moe, who is again disciple of both Eric Paulson of CSW, and then now one of the I believe he's still with Paulson, because I know Barnett split from Paulson and created UWF USA, and then now Ben Jones basically has the den, the Badger Den, out in Lake Forest, California. So, but Trenton Moe has been in there. I mean, trained with Josh Barnett and Ben Jones and Curtis Molunder and Jesus Christ, Little Badger, Jacob Rosales, like that. Trenton Moe is their teammate, So the fact that Adrian Yanez beat Trenton Moe at LFA 26, I mean, that to me, that's a name. That's a name. I've seen Trenton Moe train. That dude is a monster, a literal monster. The one that
beat
beat
him by
you
unanimous decision.
Yeah, I mean they went to every second of that fight to try and demolish each other. I hope. I mean, it should be on UFC Fight Pass if it was an LFA fight, but Jesus Christ, that's that, right? Now, on the other hand, we have the 19-6 Rob Font, right? Rob Font is from that, I guess, I don't know, but it's the New England Cartel, right? That you remember UFC Fight Pass at a time where Rob Font and who's the other guy that?
He's a good boxer as well.
God.
Cater.
Calvin Cater.
Cater,
Yeah. But they did a whole deal on how, the fucking cartel was, taking over. They were going to be like the champs and shit like that. And it just, that was just as like, I guess nearsighted or short-sighted as, this is going to be the Shogun era of the UFC. Like, things don't particularly age well. That was it, So Rob Font, Adrian Yanez, so Rob Font coming off of a extended layoff, but before the layoff happened, he lost back-to-back fights with Marlon Chito Vera and arguably the greatest featherweight of all time, and Jose Aldo, right? But before that, beat former UFC bantamweight champion Cody No Love Garbrandt, former World Series of Fight bantamweight champion Marlon Magic Moraes, Ricky Simon, right? Who was to be a future Bellator world champion in Sergio Pettis. I believe Sergio might even still be champion.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So
he's going to be fighting one of them Pitbull dudes.
Yeah. So, check this out, right? So Rob Font has beaten in Cody Garbrandt, a former UFC bantamweight champion, in Marlon Moraes, a former World Series pre-PFL bantamweight champion. Ricky Simon is a tough hombre, right? Then beat a current Bellator bantamweight world champion. Been in there with Rafael Assunção, which many people thought was going to be the future of the bantamweight division of the UFC. Didn't materialize, but Thomas Almeida, that's a win, right? And a KO win, TKO win over Almeida. Been in there with Pedro the Punisher Munoz, and we've seen Pedro in action. He is a tough cookie as well. Matt Schnell. I was, what? When I saw this fight, right before we went on, I was like, Rob Font, boo. It's not going to work. Especially the fact that Rob Font has been in the UFC since 2014. Making his UFC debut against George Roop. Again, another fighter from a bygone era, right? But that was on the undercard of Chris Weidman and Machida at UFC 175. So that just tells you how long that was. I fully expected to pick against Rob Font, but I forgot. I think I'm going with Rob Font on this one. I don't think it's going to be particularly exciting, but also I'm not committed. I'm not married to this idea. So if Rob Font gets KO'd in 30 seconds, That could also happen.
No, it ain't gonna be. Rob Font's not the guy that gets KO'd. He's gonna go the distance, and he's gonna take an ass whooping as he goes the distance. This is his MO. You're gonna beat his ass for 15 minutes. Nothing more, nothing less. That's how he does his thing. He wins, he loses. It's all by serious ass whooping. This is gonna be fight of the night for me. I believe this is fight of the night. Adrian Yanez is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So if it gets down to the ground, he's gonna stand back up. I believe in this division, this bantamweight division, Adrian Yanez is the best striker in this bantamweight division, especially when we're talking about boxing. He's the best boxer in the bantamweight division. Rob Font is close, but there is no cigar. Rob Font is going to get his ass whooped from pillar to post. Get his ass whooped from pillar to post. It's going to be close in the beginning, but that third round is going to be something special. Adrian Yanez will toe tag Rob Font. If he doesn't knock him out, it will be a unanimous victory. He's going to win every round. The first 2 rounds might be close, but that third round is going to be a work of art. Mark my words. Adrian Yanez.
You know what? I agree. Let's see Yanez. You know what the crazy thing about that New England cartel, right? Is you like, oh, he gets his ass whipped, you know, en route to his opponent of whatever night that it is victory, right? And I'm just like, man, if you were really the cartel, that wouldn't work, right? Gonna get fucking riddled with bullets, all your fucking, you know, products stolen from you, right? And go like, I'm the king, though.
No.
But you're riddled with bullets and all your product is stolen. That's what the fuck ass cartel is that?
Hey, now check this out. Rob Font is damn good. He's very good. Now, what's that say about Yanez? Just how good is Yanez? If Rob Font is that good and he's about to take an ass whooping, how good is Yanez? Man.
Yeah.
We haven't even really seen anything yet from Yanez. All he's got to do is make weight. And it's on. We're about to be blessed, man. This is gonna be fight of the night. These boys are going home with 50 G's each.
Don't tell Dan Ige that, because a motherfucker named himself fucking 50K Ige and only got one of them motherfuckers throughout his whole goddamn career. Which, I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, if Rob Font and Dan Ige was right in front of me, nor could I tell either one of them apart. Nor could I tell, like, they've been in the game so long, but haven't really made an impression in my combat sports brain. Like, they could be right in front of me and I wouldn't know.
Font's got some good skill, but he's just good. He's not great. He doesn't have great boxing.
Yeah.
Like, he's got very good MMA boxing, right? But his kicks doesn't complement his striking. You know what I mean? So it makes it tough for him when he gets in there with those very, very good boxers, right? Like Aldo and the people that he's recently lost to. But Yanez, man, is a problem. Yanez is a problem. You know, you can't take, I mean, you take him to the ground, he's an issue on the ground. He's going to get back up. You know, he's going to get back up. And then when he gets back up, he's going to beat your ass for taking him down. How dare you? How dare you get my clothes dirty? Now take these hands. And he's got very good kicks too, but he prefers to use these manos. You know what I mean? He delivers manos like fresh baked bread on a Sunday morning. He's going to whoop some ass come Saturday.
Man, oh man, I can't wait to see it. But also, one thing that I cannot wait to see is our co-main event. match of the evening. We have none other. We got the battle of two former UFC title contenders. That being one Gilbert Dorino Burns, 21-5, going up against former UFC title contender and BMF title holder, one Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. All right. I mean, let's just look at some of the stuff, but I already know how this. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go, but I know how I hope this is to go, right? But I mean, Gilbert Burns has been in there with Gunnar Nelson, what is it? Yves Edwards and grappling at Quintet Sakuraba's, MMA. I mean, not MMA, but grappling show. Actually has a decision win over the great Kazushi Sakuraba, which is wild. And he was in that, that whatever skirmish that befell Jake Shields at that same Quintet Ultra, right? That year. But going back into the UFC, beat Damian Maia, beat former UFC and Strikeforce World Heavyweight Champion Tyron Woodley, right? The chosen one Woodley. Lost to Kamaru Usman, but beat none other than former Bellator World Champion Rafael Lovato Jr. in grappling. That's wild, right? But I mean, also Gilbert Burns is a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. I believe black belt world champion, right?
Yes.
Unanimous decision with the aforementioned Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So again, his grappling figured out the damn point karate stance that has been like, I don't know, kryptonite to most of Wonderboy's opponents. That his stance is so weird and his range is so weird that we got the UFC 209 fight with him and Woodley that was just fucking paint drying essentially. But even still, he has a unanimous decision win over Wonderboy Thompson, which is amazing. And then, I mean, not to say that I didn't know this was going to happen, but Neil Magny, one of the most gifted grapplers in this division, but he fucking submitted Neil Magny.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This guy's world class, man, when it comes to grappling.
Another level.
World class.
Now, I mean, if you believe the hyperbole, right? And I just got done, before the show, watching the countdown and a couple of the embedded episodes, but everybody's saying that Jorge Masvidal is getting better and better. I heard Masvidal a bit on Rogan. He's getting better.
He is.
He is.
He is, but his cardio isn't.
It's futile, and you remember how, I don't know if you heard it, but on Rogan, within the first 30 minutes, right, of the most recent appearance of Jorge Masvidal on Rogan, right, I believe that happened a week and a half ago, right, but he was just like, you know what, when I retire, I've been doing this for 20 years, since Kimbo Slice fucking days and shit like that. But we've got so many young cats at American Top Team that if I can't hang with them in the gym, then they ain't gonna be no fucking retirement fight. I'm just gonna fucking post about it on Twitter. I'm done. That's when I know I'm done.
Hey man, he's talking about it already. He's done.
That's what I'm saying.
Fight. He's done. He's done.
I'm saying that, yeah.
He's done. He doesn't have the complete package. He doesn't have the work ethics. He doesn't have the cardio. He doesn't have the focus. I would never bet on this dude. For some reason, when he was on the streets, I liked him when he was on the streets. But when he joined the UFC, I tried to give him a chance, but after that Leon Edwards thing, you know what I mean? That was it for me. And then the Kobe thing, come on, man. You had your chance. You had your chance to do whatever you wanted to Kobe, man. You missed your chance. And then you attacked him on the street like a coward, jumping him from behind like a coward. You know what I mean? This dude, Street Judas. That's a perfect name for him. Street Judas is a perfect name for him. That's all he is a Judas.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately for him, he figured out his gimmick a little bit late in his career, so he never really got to capitalize on his youth, you know. And by the time he realized, it was already late. You know, he beat the guy with the afro with the flying knee, and you know he beat somebody Darren Tills, and you know he was hot for a second, and then you know reality struck, and then he started facing real contenders, and that was it, man. He'll never be champion. He'll never get past Gilbert Burns, and he's done. It's over. He's finito. He's through.
I just love. I just love how former Bellator and one championship, champion, right? Fucking Funky Ben Ashton just becomes fucking guy with the afro, like I can't help by the knee. But you're not wrong.
Hey, you knew exactly who I was talking about.
I had the mic on mute because I fucking was dying. This is the afterburn, and I was like, oh, shout out to fucking Funky Ben getting that fucking Jake Paul money. God damn.
And he invested that shit immediately.
Hell yes,
Intelligent.
Funky Ben, dude. All-time great of shit talking and whatever. You know, he's a Minnesota guy, so he grew up on fucking AWA. So I can.
He's like, what? That. You can knock me off for $5 million. What?
Yes.
Knock me the hell out.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
Stiff too.
Fuck it, I'm about to take a damn Robitussin DM. You don't even need 5 million. You need 5 millimeters of that motherfucker to knock me out. So I'm just saying. So yeah, fuck it. Dude, I want, you know what I want though? I'm fucking looking past fucking Street Judas. Fuck this guy. Boo. Fuck that guy. I'm looking at fucking Burns versus fucking Edwards. That's the shit that I want. That's the shit. Just sign me for fuck up. I want them to both get the biggest paydays of their life. I want them to fucking they can have it in UFC WrestleMania, 80,000. Just sign me up. Fucking AEW wants to run Wembley. Fucking UFC does it first with fucking Edwards and fucking Burns.
Yeah, you know what else? You know what else I like about Burns lately?
His afro.
He's finally embracing the African in him, man.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying? He's finally embracing it. You know,
Afro and Brazilian. Hell yes.
That's right, man. You Afro Brazilian, man. Embrace that. You know, that could be something.
Yeah,
could be something. You know, he's looking for that payday, right? This is it. Do something with it. Yeah. Don't just, you know what I mean? Don't just wear the costume. Do something with it, man.
Yeah.
Make a statement. Do something. Yeah. Run with it. It can work.
I mean, black people can run, right?
Hey, let's go.
Let's go. And he can eat acai like a motherfucker. So let's go, Burns. Let's go do, let's do it, bro. But you know what else we're gonna do? We're approaching the main event of the evening. Oh my God. We have former UFC middleweight champion Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya going up against arguably somebody who has punched his ticket, who's had his number in 2 sports and 3 fights? This would be the third fight?
4th fight.
They're calling it the 4th fight. Yes.
4th fight.
I don't know how they're calling it, Adesanya Piera 2, because
in MMA.
I don't care. Like for me, the trilogy against Jared the Jackhammer Papazian and Tyron Flash Ware, one happened in MMA, one happened in fucking 2 happened in one happened in boxing, 2 happened in MMA, right? That's the little trilogy because those 2 guys fought. Those 2, I don't care if it's in the ring, I don't care if it's on the street. Those 2 guys fought 3 times. So Adesanya and Piera, they both fought. I don't care what of it. He could have been in Lethway. He could have been in fucking catch wrestling. I don't give a shit. That's, if Josh Barnett and Dean Lister fuck each other up in one championship or whatever, or fucking BKFC, that's going to be, an addendum to their fight at Metamoris or their grappling match at Metamoris, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. So this is the fourth fight between them. And all 3 fights prior, Poatan has had his number. And you are the one who schooled me on Poatan, the greatness of Poatan. You sent me the videos during the pandemic of fucking Adesanya, who I thought was, again, Adesanya is not somebody that I necessarily click with. I'm not in his demographic. But, man, he was an unstoppable monster until Poatan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was true in Muay Thai, but that's also true in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really don't know. In my head, I like the underdog. And it's somebody that was so dominant in Adesanya,
Mm-hmm.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
was so fucking dominant. For him to be the underdog and kind of come up from behind and do that fucking Rocky fucking victory and come from behind and beat the shit and become world champion again.
Mm-hmm.
But Poatan has figured it out, man.
Yeah, he's figured it out, but he can be beaten.
Oh yeah,
Easy
he
for
can.
him. He's got to risk a lot, but he can beat him. He can beat him easy too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, kind of long term, right? And I don't want to look past Israel, right? But the thing about it is the fact that what is there for Poatan after Adesanya?
He moves up.
You have to.
Yeah.
Oh no, fucking John Jones.
My man, no, not to John Jones. He's in a 185-pound division.
Oh, okay, then light heavy. Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
goes up to what 205. Fight at least 5-6 fights there, and then go to heavyweight if he can.
fucking.
I don't think he can make heavyweight.
I think he can. Fucking.
He's a lean fella.
Okay, fucking give him all the damn what is it? The acai and whatever. What is it? The shit. The Fogo de Chao, the fucking Brazilian fucking steakhouse. Like,
let me tell you something. I got Izzy. I still got Izzy.
You still got Izzy?
I still got Izzy. I got him. I had him last time, and I still got him. I love Poatan. He knows I love him.
Yeah,
but I still got Izzy. Izzy's got the speed. Izzy's got the gas tank.
Yeah, he does. But I mean,
he got the gas tank. He just can't make mistakes. He made mistakes the last time.
Yeah, I think
it's pressure has to be consistent. He cannot let Poatan recover. Look, man, that man cuts tons of weight.
Yeah.
You gotta go. You gotta attack that. That's his weakness.
Yeah.
He has to attack, but to attack it, you have to risk getting hit by one of these.
Yeah, and that's
right. And that's when the grappling comes in. Hey, look, man, if he grapples, he's gonna get tired. But guess what? Poatan's gonna be much more tired than he is.
Yes.
He's gotta grapple him. He's gotta grapple the hell out of him, and then stand with him later.
I agree with you, but I actually, when was their last fight? It was within a year.
Yeah,
right.
Like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
is it 6 months?
I think it's still soon for him.
He didn't get clean. He didn't get put out.
He didn't.
He wasn't.
He was on the verge of it. He was on the verge of it. So the referee.
This is the time. This is the time to strike. If you sit, look. You know how terrifying this guy is. You understand that? He's a terrifying individual, man.
They both
you pull up that horse, you get right back on. You have to. This is not somebody you wait and think about over and over. You can't keep thinking about this guy. The more you sit and wait, the more menacing he becomes in your mind.
Right.
This is the boogeyman. This is our friend from the 155, Ferguson.
Oh, El Kukui.
El Kukui. He's not the El Kukui. He's no El Kukui. This fella is a real El Kukui. This fella comes from the Amazon. Nothing is more scarier than someone from the Amazon rainforest that has nothing in life but these. You understand? These are all he's got. These are his claim to fame. These are all he knows, except changing tires. You know what I mean? All he's ever done was change tires, drink alcohol, and these. And he realized these is where it's at. These is where it's at. Israel comes from money. His parents were not poor. He had more money than me growing up. He lived in a good neighborhood. You know what I mean? Growing up in Lagos, I didn't live luxurious like he did. I lived in an apartment. He lived in a house. He comes from money. You know what I mean? He goes to where's that place? New Zealand. You know what I mean? He's living good in New Zealand. Now, you know, he's a multi-millionaire. He's always had an easy path. No matter what he says, he's always had an easy life. Yes, he was bullied. But hey, man, we all get bullied. But as far as finance comes, he's always been good. He's always been upper middle class to rich all his life. Porton, on the other hand, this is his edge. He's seen dirt. He comes from mud. He comes from mud. He comes from nothing. All his life has been an uphill battle. This is his edge. This is his edge. This is why he makes weight. Because making weight is the easiest part of his life. Even though it's very difficult, he's seen worse. He's seen worse. His whole life has been a fight. He has to fight to eat. He has to fight to live. This is easy for him.
Right.
Izzy is easy. Now, Izzy is going to have to understand that he's going to have to go to the depths of hell and be comfortable there. And to go to the depths of hell, he's got to face this man and stand in this striking range and get hit by him, but not to a point where he gets put out. If he can stay in that range and take that beat into his body, he'll be in shooting range. And when he can shoot, he can take him down. And if he can take him down, guess what? He has an opportunity to win. He's got to get Porton tired by the 4th round. He's got to get lactic acid buildup in his arms and leg and body. And to do that, it's going to take him 4 rounds. 4 rounds. Okay. If he can do that successfully in the 5th round, he can knock out Porton.
Man, I really don't know. And you make an amazing argument.
Porton has been beaten before.
Yes, I know. I know, but I mean, this is I don't know.
Hey, look, Izzy has already been. He lost in the 5th round.
Right.
He's been there already. He's got that experience.
Right.
He can do it again. He just has to strategize a little bit better. Less striking with him early on. Grapple with him. Lactic acid buildup. Yeah, that is a thing. 100%. Especially when someone is cutting massive weight. That is a thing. Lactic acid buildup in his muscle in the first 2-3 rounds. Even if not into the 4th. You know what I'm saying? And then the 5th round, strike with him. You will have the speed advantage. Then you can knock his ass out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he doesn't do that, he loses again. But I'm guarantee you, he's with a good camp. He's with a good camp. I've watched his training. His training is cardio based. He's swimming underwater, holding his breath for extended periods of time. This is hell.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to be comfortable in hell to survive Porton.
Yeah. Also though, but Porton, you heard the assumption of what happens to fighters, or the reasoning why people go to Thailand right before fights, right?
Why?
I don't know if I could say it on the air.
Why not?
Okay, theoretically, it was alluded to. Can't remember who said it, but ain't no fucking USADA in fucking Thailand.
Oh, you're talking about
somebody said it on Rogan too, right?
Bobby Green.
Yes, yeah, 100%. It was Bobby Green. Yeah, that was. Oh, yeah, that was the same episode about the Shad Smith and what Shad Smith. Shout out to Shad, love that dude. Glad he's happy with his new husband and whatever. You know, Shad is the OG of the SoCal fight scene. But yeah, yeah, that was the thing that Bobby Green was saying. It's like, you go to Thailand, ain't no fucking USADA gonna fly over there to Thailand. So you can juice up and then you come back just enough time to be off the cycle. You know? So I don't know. I mean, but also if that was the case, right? Like cardio, you know, you can't take a PED for cardio.
That
It's
weight
not gonna,
and that weight
right.
cut.
Yeah, that too.
Did you see him at the face-off today?
Yeah, he looked massive.
Stuffed in his face is
Oh
already.
yeah. But he looked massive before he stepped on the scale.
Yeah, Izzy still had his cheeks.
Yeah.
That tells me Porton still has another 15 to 20 pounds to cut. Wow. And he's already sucked in like that. This is why he's got, look, man, this is you got to pay attention to all these little details.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking really good. He's looking really good. But he's not cutting 5 pounds next.
Right.
He's cutting 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Because the reason why he knocks people out the way he does is his dense bone. Right. It's not the muscle tone, it's the dense, really, really dense bone. And what are you gonna do? You can't cut bone, right?
No.
So the bone density will
don't tell that to Anderson Silva.
The bone density will remain. So that means he's got to tap into the muscular, right? And the brain.
Right.
It can be done. It can be done. You just got to weaponize pace early on. Lactic acid buildup will make his hands so heavy and he'll become slower. He's already slower than you. You're going to retain speed advantage.
Yeah.
Right? But is Izzy going to be in shape to execute this?
I feel like he will be.
Okay, let's see. I hope he is, because he can beat him. I mean, he was winning the last time. He was winning. He was winning by points, but I think he can stop him. He can stop him. I believe he can stop him. Yes.
Okay. I mean, fuck it. I'm
Hey, but this is worthy of a 50-50 pick.
I don't know. I mean, you made a good point. You made, I don't know.
You can pick Porton.
Okay, fuck it.
He is 3-0 right up to this point.
Right, 100%. And all it would take for Izzy to essentially just get this one win back. We're not going to see like a 8-fight, I don't even, 3 fights is a trilogy or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't even know what you call it beyond it, but they're not going to fight 3 more times after this.
I don't think they're going to fight anymore after this particular
one. This is it.
Win or lose, Izzy won't fight him anymore.
Right, exactly. So this is the one to kind of overshadow the other 3 losses that you befell to put on, right? If you're Izzy. Fuck it. Yeah, I'm doing that, but secretly I'm rooting for fucking Izzy. I'm gonna pick officially Potan, but I'm gonna root for Izzy secretly, because I mean you made a fucking great point. All of those are valid. And
Potan, he is a champion.
Yeah, he is.
But I can't just jump it because he won the last time.
Right.
You know what I mean? I truly believe in Izzy. I truly believe he can make it happen. But he's got to understand. Remember in Rocky 4 when Rocky went into the mountains of Russia?
Yep.
He's gonna have to put himself in that kind of mindset. He's got to train in poverty, and he's got to understand where Porton is coming from. Once he understands, then he'll understand where and how he does what he does. Why he can get hit like that in the first round, almost die and come back.
Yeah.
He's got to go to the depths of hell to understand what hell feels like.
That makes perfect sense. I'm fucking jazzed. I'm jazzed. Yeah, it is. And the fact that this is the last, right? This is the end of an era, right? If you're somebody much like you, Voodoo, who followed their kind of rivalry from the days of their Muay Thai career, right? And then you follow Izzy and the greatness that Izzy achieves, right? And what did Piero say, right? What did Potan say? In terms of watching Izzy. He was watching Izzy when he was still in Muay Thai, and he's watching Izzy, a guy that he's beat twice before, get some big fucking paydays as a UFC fighter, and he's like, "Yeah, I can do that."
Mm-hmm.
It's like Hulk Hogan trying to join the NWO. It's like, "Hey, wait, that train, I'm gonna fucking catch that train before it leaves the station."
Mm-hmm.
So
hey,
yeah,
I bet
man.
you after this they're gonna become friends.
Oh, they have to be. I mean,
They're gonna become friends.
you don't shed those amount of like sweat, blood, and brain cells and not be and come away with some semblance of respect for your fellow competitor. And again, that's what you're here to do. You're here to compete at the highest level.
Yeah.
You're an artist, right? You're an artist, right? And your canvas is the canvas of the mat, right? And your paintbrushes or your sculpting tools are your hands, right? And you're going to paint a masterpiece, with your skill and ability on the face of your opponent. That is your clay. That is your paint, right? So that's it. But you can appreciate the art that is at hand at this. So, man, I can't wait for it. And again,
That'd be awesome.
Until the fucking final bell blows or the referee waves somebody off of the other, like I won't know who's gonna win until that final moment happens, and I can't wait. Like this is what this sport is all about,
Right.
And oh man, I can't wait. It's all fucking good shit right there.
That's right.
Which, speaking of good shit, man, you got a lot of it, right? From your fights to your boys, like literally, taking over the track and football gridiron, much like you used to do. Doghouse, there you go.
Speaking of football, my boys are gonna be playing for the Simi Valley Bulldogs in the next season. You know what I'm saying? So repping the doghouse. You know what I'm saying? So you know how it is. Simi Valley Bulldogs, here we come. Let's go.
There it is. So to catch all of the stuff that the Inalopo boys are doing and what you, the Grandmaster, VoodooMaximus, where can they find you on the social media?
You could definitely look for VoodooMaximus on all main platform. I don't mess with TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook page, and Twitter for the old folks. So there you go, VoodooMaximus.
Hey, Twitter, Elon just changed the fucking the bird
Doge
logo.
right?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm fucking in. Let's do that.
Let's
do
go.
that. I might have a couple 100,000 Doge. Just saying. But to follow my exploits, which might be Doge related or people falling out of shit when I'm not podcasting, you can find me at According to the Woods on all the social media. If you follow me on one, you'll get the link tree to the others and just do that. Also, we'd like to thank bodyslam.net for carrying this very program. Shout out to bodyslam.net and go ahead and follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of their social media as well. Just bringing out content. I mean, they just went, one of their the articles actually went a bit viral. So shout out to Rami Hanna of bodyslam.net. It's dope, man. Again, this week has been crazy, right? Like MMA, pro wrestling, literally merged together. The two preeminent organizations becoming one. It's the fucking Spice World song, right? And to become one. You didn't come here for that, but thank you guys for watching us. We will see you later with more Voodoo in the Woods.